What's up, ladies and gents, Ghost here, and today I've got a guide to Counter-Strike Global Offensive terminology. There are a lot of new players picking up CSGO to check out what the game's all about and why it's so popular. This can be quite a bewildering experience, especially for younger people who have perhaps never played any of the previous Counter-Strike games before. If you jump straight into competitive matchmaking, which is really the core of the game, you'll be expected to communicate with your teammates over live in-game comms, and they'll be throwing a number of CSGO specific terms around that new players won't be familiar with. So in this video, I'll be going over some of the most commonly used terms and explaining just what they mean. So first up, I'm going to be going over buy specific terms, so this is at the start of a round when you're buying weapons, some of the things you might hear. Full buy. This essentially means buying, for example, an AK-47 along with Kevlar and a helmet, grenades, and a defuser if needed. Usually in a situation where your team has plenty of money to throw around and you want to be as well armed as you can be for the enemy team. Eco round, or a save round. An eco round or a save round is when players buy something less than a full buy in order to save money for a future round. This is usually something that's done tactically and it's discussed at the beginning of a round before anyone buys anything. Full save. So a full save is buying absolutely nothing, not even armor, and this is usually when money is extremely low. It can often be a desperate situation, and a lot of the times when you're playing, for example, as the CT side, you may decide to run straight into the T-spawn and try to kill some of the terrorists straight from the start of the round and pick up some of their primary weapons. Buyout. So this refers to buying as much as you can because it's the last round of the half. Dropping or buying somebody. Oftentimes you'll hear somebody say they need a drop. What this essentially means is buying a weapon for a teammate who can't afford it in a bid to keep money and weapons at the same level across the whole team. Molly. This word refers to a Molotov cocktail or an incendiary grenade. And NADE. This one's pretty self-explanatory and most of you guys will guess it, but yeah. NADE's usually referred to grenades. Alright, so now we're going to move on to some of the shooting terms. These will generally be things that you will hear from your teammates as they're shooting at an enemy. Lit or tagged. This refers to a damaged enemy. For example, he's lit for 50 generally means he's taken 50 damage. If somebody simply says he's lit, often it will mean that they maybe only have around 20 or 30 health left. Next up we have wall banging. This refers to shooting somebody through, for example, a wall that bullets are able to pass through. Dinking. Oftentimes you'll hear somebody say, I dinked him. What this means is to hit an enemy in the head but not actually kill him, therefore letting your teammates know he's on very low health. There are a lot of situations where conveying these sort of terms like, oh, I dinked him or he's lit to your teammates can be beneficial. For example, one of your teammates may then know he can simply throw a frag grenade if he knows of the location of the enemy to finish him off. Alternatively, if that player has a sniper rifle like the AWP and a sidearm, if he knows that player's only on around 20 or 30 health, he'll probably choose to take out his sidearm to finish him off instead of relying on that all-important AWP shot. Alright, next we have picking or getting picks. This refers to killing an enemy player whilst both teams are playing passively. This will often give the T side an opportunity to attack the bomb site where the enemy died. Pre-firing. This one's pretty self-explanatory, shooting where you expect an enemy to peek or as you round a corner, given the information you have. So you may have heard the enemy walking around the corner, and as the steps get closer, you may start firing where you think he's about to appear. Spamming or spraying. Shooting in an area you think an enemy may be or could appear in a bid to hit somebody. For example, you might hear somebody telling you to spam through the smoke. Acing or getting an ace, this simply refers to single-handedly killing all 5 players on the enemy team. Alright, so that's the end of the shooting terms. Now we're going to move on to strategical terms, and these are some of the most important ones. So first of all we have rushing. So this refers to attacking from a single direction together quickly, often to take the enemy by surprise. So you may hear your team saying something like, let's rush B. Walking or sneaking, this is the same thing. You hold shift on the keyboard so as to make no sound and give the enemy no clues as to your whereabouts. Stacking, when more players than usual defend the same objective. So for example, instead of splitting and having 3 counter-terrorists go and defend A and 2 go over to B, you might decide to stack with all 5 of them on A if you think that the enemy team are going to go for that particular objective. Rotation or rotating describes a player shifting from defending or attacking one objective and going over to the other. Boosting. You'll often hear people say, "Can you boost me?" This is basically jumping on a teammate to reach an elevation level that was previously unreachable by themselves. So they'll go and ask you to crouch next to a wall so they can jump on your back and then get up into a window. Retake. This refers to recovering a lost bomb site from the enemy players. So you might be playing as counter-terrorists and 2 of the guys who are defending B flag die, the terrorists get on there and they plant the bomb. The remaining 3 counter-terrorists will then have to stage a retake. Ninja defuse. Defusing the bomb by sneaking by the defending terrorists, often whilst using smoke grenades. Here's a couple of hacking terms you might want to know. It's a shame that these actually have to be in here, but unfortunately hacking is a thing in CSGO. So first up, you will hear the term walling a lot. This refers to using a hack that lets you see enemies through walls, and the second one is aimbotting, which refers to using a hack that assists you with your aiming. Finally, we have some miscellaneous ones. Top fragging essentially means having the most amount of kills in your team. Carrying. This refers to pulling more weight than the other players in your team, especially if you're a significantly higher rank. Clutching. To win a round when the odds are heavily against you, for example in a 2 versus 5 situation. So there you go guys, those are all the terms I have for you today. Now I would like to quickly mention about the maps. Of course, a lot of the terms you will hear shouted out by your teammates will be specific locations on some of the most popular matchmaking maps at the moment, such as Mirage, Inferno, Dust, Nuke, Cache, Train, etc. You will hear these terms a lot, but it's not really something I can go over in a video. If you want me to, I suppose I could walk around each map and explain some of the most common locations and what they're called, but what I will do in this video is leave a link down below where you can look at a bird's eye view of the map with all of the names on there, study there a little bit, and hopefully next time some people call out map locations, you'll know roughly the area they're talking about. Map locations are really just something you have to learn with time. Now, one final thought I would like to leave you guys with is actually knowing when to talk and when not to talk. Talking in CSGO and communicating with your teammates and using these terms is great. Of course you want to be able to give as much information to your teammates as possible, especially since when you die in CSGO, you can still communicate with your teammates. But there are times when you really shouldn't be talking or you shouldn't be giving useless information. A lot of the time people will die and you'll just hear them saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe that guy killed me, like I didn't even see him, where was he, blah blah blah," and all the time what you're doing is essentially just polluting your teammates' ears when they're trying to listen out for footsteps and get the maximum amount of information in game as to where the enemies are. You're not really saying anything helpful, so it's better just not to say it over live comms at all. However, if you know exactly where the enemy is who killed you, you can just say something short like, "He's behind bench, he's lit for 60. Then he knows where he is, and he knows he only has 40 health left. Another situation where talking can be extremely infuriating is if you are the last player alive, you have perhaps 2 or even 3 enemies against you, and you're sneaking around trying to be quiet, trying to listen to where the enemies are, listen to some of the sounds in the game like when they plant the bomb or defuse the bomb, and all you have is your teammates blabbering in your ear, trying to tell you what to do, trying to tell you where the enemies are. That really doesn't help most of the time. You should really just let the person make the calls by themselves and listen to the game. They're the one playing the game. You should let them take in the information and, make the judgment call themselves. After all, if you're looking on their screen and you can hear footsteps from the left, there's no need to tell him, "Hey, the guy's coming from the left," because presumably he can also hear it as well. Alright guys, so that is going to do it for this little CSGO terminology guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I didn't list absolutely every term here, but if you'd like to add some more in the comment sections down below, feel free to do so. But I did deem these ones to be the most commonly used ones and also the most useful ones. So let me know down below also if you would like to see more of this sort of thing. I'm not the best CSGO player, but I maybe can offer a few tips and tricks to really new beginner players who have never played the Counter-Strike game before and want to get into the series but find it a little bit bewildering. So let me know if you'd like to see more of that down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.